You have to be good. Lots of things happening, but we're told that, there'll be a lot of meetings today. The president will be engaging the Association of Ghana Industries. He'll be engaging Association of Banks. He'll be engaging, the GPRTU. So lots of engagements today. We're told that, the governor of the Bank of Ghana will be engaging
the
Forex Bureau operators
and the MDs of some banks.
Yes, I mean the vice president and the economic management team would also be meeting.
Economic management team?
Yes, the economic management team.
Okay.
What were you thinking?
Oh no, I haven't heard that in a while.
Oh, you haven't heard of the economic management team?
There is an economic management team.
Oh, what a solid team!
Oh,
economic management team.
Nice.
You know the members of the team, don't you?
I do.
But coming up this morning, Daryl, just listen to this. Just listen to this.
I took this mortgage about 2.5 years ago in March of 2020, and I've moved from paying an average 3,000 Ghana cedis a month, over 6,000 Ghana cedis a month. My salary hasn't increased. Disposable income is shrinking. I am trying to sell my house so that I can pay off this mortgage company because I risk losing the entire house at a forced sale value.
Wow.
Yes. We've been urging people, why don't you go for a mortgage? You're paying it and it's your house, you're living in your house, and the fact that ordinarily if you are renting a house, you're paying to your landlord, the house doesn't belong to you, but here if you're paying, at the end of it, the house becomes yours.
Yeah.
So this person went for a mortgage in dollars. 2 years ago, he was paying $3,000 because it was $562 a month. Now, he's paying over 6,000 as of September. In October, he's likely to pay 7,000. And he's really struggling. As you can hear, his salary hasn't increased. So really, the guy
He's incurring more cost.
is incurring more cost. He says even when he wants to engage the mortgage company, he doesn't see them. He calls. Nobody's answering. So now he wants to go there to go and engage them because he can't pay. Now, even the interest rate of 12.5% has been increased because we're told the LIBOR has gone up. So that has also gone up. And he may not be the only one. I know another person who sold his house because, the mortgage house firm kept coming to the house, threatening to sell his house. And guess what? He took a mortgage 5 years ago worth $100,000. When he checked last month, he was still owing $98,000.
Exactly.
$98,000 because he defaulted at a stage. And once he defaulted, he kept incurring an additional cost of $50 every day.
It's frustrating.
It is. And so, you see, what we may be talking about, for many people who may not really understand what the Ghana cedi's depreciation is doing to people, these are some of the evidence. And this morning, we will get into it here on the Super Morning Show. But of course, the decision is, the other point is, how do you go around it? How do you ensure that in the midst of all these, you're able to still continue living your life without losing your house? We'll tell you more here on the Super Morning Show. Time now for the Joy Business Report with Daryl and the team.
Hello everyone, welcome to the Joy Business Report. Coming up this morning, Ghana likely to undertake some form of debt restructuring to put debt under a sustainable path. We hear from Standard Chartered Bank's Africa Markets Reviewed report. Also, Ghana cedi lost 14.47% in value to the dollar last week, the worst weekly loss in over 30 years. Meanwhile, US-based Associate Professor of Finance calls for redenomination of the Ghana cedi to boost the value of the local currency. Plus, multinational CEOs fear global economy may head into recession, which may affect countries like Ghana. We have an outlook from a KPMG survey. Stay with us. My name is Acquah. Great to be with you this morning. Ghana is likely to undertake some form of debt restructuring to put debt under a sustainable path. That's according to the September African Markets Revealed report by the Standard Chartered Bank. The government is presently in negotiations with the IMF. The report says a broad consensus amongst the investor community is that the government of Ghana will likely have to restructure debt. Charles Owusu-Aboagye has more.
Standard Chartered Bank said though it agrees with investors that there will be some form of debt restructuring, it's unclear whether it will be external or domestic debt or both. It explained that since the government confirmed negotiations with the IMF for a funded deal back in July, it seemed quiet on restructuring external debt at the onset. Still, the government has since concurred to some form of debt restructuring if required. The report further said most external creditors believe domestic debt restructuring will be required to restore public debt on a more sustainable path. This is because, unlike in Zambia, a larger share of Ghana's debt service is skewed towards domestic debt service, which is primarily why there is a consensus building around this. It's predicted that the earliest that this government may secure an agreement with the fund for a funded program may be around December to April next year. However, the key question is whether the IMF would first provide a staff-level agreement and then require progress on a debt restructuring plans.
And that was Charles Owusu-Aboagye. So the Ghana cedi lost 14.47% in value to the dollar last week, the worst weekly loss in over 30 years. The situation was slightly worse against the pound and euro, two currencies struggling against the US dollar. Now, Data Bank research says that the local currency remain under intense selling pressure on heightened speculative demand for the American greenback with limited dollar supply by the Bank of Ghana. It anticipates market speculation to continue to drag down the local currency this week. Meantime, a US-based associate professor of finance, Professor William Pepa, is calling for redenomination of the Ghana cedi. This means a zero will be removed. According to him, this will cause behavior change on the part of currency dealers in rushing to buy dollars as a store of value. Now, speaking to Joy Business, Professor Pepa said this will also lower prices and values of monetary commodities in the country, since the cost of redenomination will be lower than the cost of inflation.
Current situation in Ghana, where we have seen the cedi.
Let's turn to the currency market this morning. The dollar going for 15 cedis is, however, stable against the pound, selling at 16 cedis, and the euro going for 13 cedis, 90 pesos. Now, in other news, majority of multinational business chiefs are expressing fear that global economies will be going into recession in the next 12 months. This is likely to cause a further turmoil for developing economies, including Ghana. Now, speaking to Joy Business on the outlook, senior partner at KPMG Ghana, Anthony Sapong, explained that the challenge could affect the country's supply chain, thereby affecting domestic production.
Close to about 90% of CEOs have the view that there's going to be a recession in the next 12 months. Nonetheless, they believe that this recession may last shorter than a longer term one. About 60% believe that the recession will be longer. Recession generally implies that there's going to be a general slowdown of economic activities in these developed countries. That will mean that demand will go down, productive output will go down, and for that matter, demand for investment is also likely to go down. What it then means is that in most of these developed countries, what we generally refer to as GDP will also go down. But that also has implications for us, particularly those of us in sub-Saharan Africa.
Anthony Sapon there, his senior partner at KPMG Ghana. Senior finance lecturer at the University of Cape Coast, Seram Kawo, has said that lack of engagements by government is creating uncertainties among Ghanaians on a viable economic recovery. He argues that the gap in information flow by relevant state institutions is creating unnecessary tension among the citizenry and traders, allowing some businesses to take advantage of the current economic situation to increase prices of basic items. He says the government's attitude of just engaging the International Monetary Fund without assuring Ghanaians may not build confidence in government's policies.
We are going to IMF. We are not having deliberations with the citizens. The minister talked about 5-member committee that will engage the citizen in ensuring that we all move hand in hand with how we can meet the IMF. This committee hasn't been inaugurated, hasn't been outdoor. Have they had any meetings in terms of TV, radio, community engagement? Some of these things we are not saying it. And so we encourage our managers of the economy to do some of these things. These are my essential inputs when we are going to IMF.
Senior finance lecturer at the University of Cape Coast Business School, Acquah. Now, it has become critical for Ghana to have a digitally literate workforce to enhance economic growth. That's according to Deputy Minister of Communications and Digitalization, Owusu-Aboagye. Speaking at the 12th Ghana Information Technology and Telecom Awards in Acquah, the Deputy Minister urged the business community to support efforts by government in building a digital economy. Here's more.
The Ghana Information Technology and Telecom Award is organized by Instinct Wave Africa to celebrate the performance of stakeholders in the information, communication and technology industry. Speaking at this year's event in Accra, Deputy Minister for Communications Owusu-Aboagye underscored the need for stakeholders to leverage government policies in digitalization to boost the economy.
For Ghana to build a robust digital economy, having a digitally literate workforce is necessary to enhance the widespread adoption and use of digital products and services by all Ghanaians, irrespective of geographical location and economic status. I wish to state here that digital skills here include technology skills as well as business skills for building or running a startup or enterprise.
Meanwhile, Joy Business's Ebenezer Sabute was adjudged the ICT Reporter of the Year for his consistency in promoting the sector through his reportage. Chief Executive of Instinct Wave, Akim Naftal, believes that ICT professionals have been very supportive of the economy, hence the need to award them.
So we know we are in a very tough situation at the moment, but at the same time, getting out of the situation needs technology as well.
Minister for Communications and Digitalization, Owusu-Aboagye, was honored as Digital Leader of the Year.
Well, also this morning, the Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, has now moved from its signatory B status to A after joining the International Organization of Securities Commissions. Now, according to SEC, its membership will help combat new and emerging risks associated with the development of new products whilst ensuring efficient and transparent markets. Reverend Ogwami Tete is Director General of SEC.
IOSCO, which is the International Organization of Securities Commission organization, is a global standard setter for securities market regulators in the world. Basically, they set various standards to facilitate cooperation. As you may know, given globalization, we can talk about strict boundaries when it comes to financial flows and financial transactions. So it's important for various jurisdictions to be able to share information that would help in regulation, because things like market manipulation, fraud, insider trading, and other things that come up within the securities industry space, there's a need for information sharing and collaboration.
That was Reverend Daniel Ogwami Tete, Director General of the Securities and Exchange Commission, and then the Joy Business Report. Before we go, your commodity market update. Crude oil selling this morning at $93.28 a barrel. Gold lost marginally to open trading at $1,648 an ounce. Cocoa gained $31, is trading this morning at $2,337 a ton. There is more news on our website, myjoyonline.com/business. That's it. The Super Morning Show continues with Winston.
Thank you very much, Darryl Kwao. So, the CD is trading at what? 15
CDs this morning.
This morning.
Okay. But I guess far higher on the black market. Some selling as much as 17 CDs.
Why black market? Why do we like black market? Let's go through the formal system. You see, part of our problem is that we like black market.
That's true.
We must go through the formal system. Put all your dollars within the system. Don't be keeping your dollars at home.
And that's why people are also asking that the central bank is very strict on this and clamping down on the black market.
Because, I mean, Guta at a point actually alleged that there were foreigners who came into the country just to get dollars from this country and go to their countries, because in their countries they had very stringent measures. Mm-hmm. And so we had our laws were not being implemented, and so they were asking for strict implementation of our laws. We should be thinking about all of these things. But of course, we also do know that a lot of our dollar obligations are too much these days, including the servicing of our debts, and also in the fact that we've not been able to export as much as we wanted as a country. One of the things we have been saying, since the 50s and 60s, we've known this all this while, but at least the challenge has been that in Ghana, even when we have defined the problems correctly,
plenty talk, no
we have
action.
not solved it.
Yeah.
Anyway, Darryl, thank you very much for joining us. And time now for our inspirational song for today, brought to us by Duraplus, where Duraplus goes, water flows, and Republic Bank, we're the one for you. An inspirational song for today is Thank You for Being God.
You're too big for error. You're too wise for mistakes. You are a mighty God, perfect in all your ways. You were here before my first breath, and you'll be here